The Business Motiversity team has listened to thousands of hours of business advice. This is the top advice from the top entrepreneurs. Different people, different approaches, teaching you how to get rich, starting from $0.
If you look at someone's bank statement and you look at their calendar, you know what their life is. And you can also predict where their life is going to be in X amount of years, right? And so if someone wants to change what their life is going to look like, you have to reallocate where you're investing the resources that you have. And so from a time perspective, people who are poor, in my opinion, spend a lot of time not doing stuff. And that sounds terrible to say, but like at the base level, they're distracted, they're
not doing the right
procrastinating.
stuff.
Right. Well, I would even say not doing anything.
Just distracting them,
right?
Playing
Just
video games,
Netflix, etc. All that stuff, right? So there's like the basis, like they don't do anything. They're purely distracting themselves from their current state, which is hard because it's hard to confront reality. If you're like not happy, it's easier to just distract yourself, right? Mm-hmm. Now the level above that is you've got people who are operating, they are working every day, but they're operating in low leverage opportunities, right? So they're doing things that do not give them a lot of return on their time, right? And so it's like I could work, it doesn't matter how many hours I work at McDonald's, like it's very, very difficult to become wealthy there, right? It's just near impossible, right? Mm-hmm. Versus like you could buy a building for $10 million and then sell it to somebody else for $11 million, just get the contract and make $1 million on the exchange. Super high leverage, right? From a time perspective, which is crazy for somebody who doesn't have money to even contemplate something like that. But the only way that happened, and that required no money, is skill, right? And so like that's an example of like it didn't require money to make that money. That's skill that's required to do that. And so first is the time, right? People are not doing stuff with the time that they have, or they're doing low leverage activities with the time they have. And then they're not trying to increase their output per unit time, which means investing in their skill set. And so when people are allocating their time, they're not by percentage, they're kind of like consuming their time rather than investing their time. So they're either doing nothing or they're consuming the time rather than putting time into getting higher returns on their time, which is education, right? And so education you can have from like the conceptual learnings, watching stuff like this, or the actual doing, right? And so, you learn
taking
more
action,
100%.
Failing, messing up, feeling like an embarrassment in the actions.
The first 1,000 cold calls you make, the first 1,000 cold emails you do, the first 1,000 doors you knock on, the first 1,000, you'll learn more from that than you'll learn from every single book you read up to that point on the concept. You'll learn.
I looked for what I needed, like myself. I'm pretty positive thinking all the time, optimistic. So I'd come in and go, what would work? And then I would, where I got a great friend now, 40 years. Back then we were just getting to know each other. But I called him Dr. No. He would say no. I'd say, hey, I got an idea. And he'd go, no. And I'd be like, oh, what? And he goes, well, yesterday you had that idea. And today, and I realized I needed that in my life. I needed someone to say, now it was a two-way street. One time he called me in, we're probably about 5 years into It Works, and he said, we're not making payroll. You're having to put extra money in. You've borrowed some money to put in. You're going to bury yourself. I think we need to shut this down. And I remember thinking, no, we can't. And honestly, I didn't have a plan B. I don't want to go back to teaching. And that salary, I'm getting used to. And so we had to look at a new strategy. And so sometimes I'll say to people, putting the right people around me, Doug made me face, and Sandy's doing the same thing, expecting that same result. I had to change. But Doug caused me to do that. Now I had other people, I like surround myself with positive people. They give me energy. We'll come up with an idea. What do you think of this? And you're like, well, I do, but what? And all of a sudden you're binging it off, and all of a sudden I call it a whole nother level. You got okay idea, good idea, great idea, whole nother level. So when I build our office building, my house, I always add a whole nother level so people realize that's just part of our life.
There's short-term pain that you have to go through when you do anything new. Unless you're immediately successful, which almost no one is. You usually have to take a step back in order to take 2, 3, 10 steps forward, right? Like if you have a high-paying job, so I was a consultant, for example, and I had all the status for somebody at my age, working at a big firm. I graduated in 3 years. I had all that stuff. But then when I quit that to start basically being a personal trainer at a gym, that was a big decrease in status in terms of my like relative standing compared to my peers. And I remember when I would have women come to the gym and be like, "Did you go to college?" And I was like, "I mean, graduate magna cum laude from Vanderbilt, yeah." You know what I mean? But like, I remember thinking, wow, this doesn't matter at all.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter at all. And so I was really well equipped for not what I was doing.
You're overqualified.
Yeah, and underqualified at the same time. Right, for the actual job. And so there's a big pill of humility that I think a lot of people aren't willing to take, because it hurts to drop in status. Like, you know, people are like, "Oh, you'll get there, man." Like, "Hey, we're rooting for you." You know, and it's interesting because I remember in the early days at the gym when I was like sleeping on the floor. A lot of my clients were like, "Good for you, chasing your dream," you know, all that stuff, like really rooting for me. And, you know, within 9 or 12 months, I had hired some people and I had a manager, and I was able to not literally live at the gym, sleep there. And I remember pulled up one day and I walked in, and like 4 or 5 of the ladies who'd been there for a while were like, "Bossman's here." Like, "I thought you were too good for us." And they were saying it in jest, but I knew that there was like a hair of truth to it. And that was when I realized the truism, like, everyone wants you to do well, but just not better than them. And so the people that will continue to root for you tend to be above you. And as you pass people, because hate only comes from below. Like, no one above you is hating on you because they're not thinking about you. Because winners focus on the goal, losers focus on winners.
Forget about what the world says. Forget about what your last boss said about you. Forget about what degrees you do or don't have, right? Like, really think about your natural talents. Like, every single one of us is born with natural talents and skill sets and a perspective that other people don't have. And the problem is we undervalue it, right? Like, what were the things that people came to you for, or you were just naturally did? Like, I used to get in trouble all the time for talking too much. And now I get paid to talk, you know? So I think that we can look back and see, and it doesn't even have to be like, sometimes people think, "Oh, you got to be a big personality." No, you don't. Like, there are people that I know who make millions just being someone who thinks like an engineer, who knows how to systematize things and create process, and they use that as a way to like invent strategies or processes that make them millions, right? So we all have talents, so we have to tap into that and really think about, what is the value that I have to bring? I think personality tests can help with that, just to start to give you an inkling towards, you know, become a student of yourself. Who am I, right? What do I have to bring to the world? What is my perspective? How does my growing up with a parent who struggled with alcoholism at one point in their lives, how's that benefit me? And make me relate to more people and make, you know, me more able to become a millionaire rather than less. So I think recognizing our value is also a big piece of it. So we had mindset, we have value. I talked a little bit about environment. And then, you know what, like, I think for the last one, I'm gonna just say, charge accordingly. Like, just start asking for more money, right? Like, just be audacious with your requests. Like, just ask. And honestly, here's the thing. I think we could charge premium on day one. I just think that we're too afraid to do it. As long as you could back it up. You gotta get results. Yes, exactly. If you can get results, then why do you have to, you don't have to charge lower because everybody else does. I think we do that because we're scared. So we're like, oh, you know, this very valuable thing that I have to give, I'm gonna give it for $100 instead of $1,000 because $100 scares me less.
Getting rich, getting wealthy requires optimism, swinging for the fences, doing really well, being optimistic about the future. Staying rich requires a pessimism about the short run, where you're saying, I don't know what's going to happen over the next 3 months. I got to make sure I have a lot of savings. I got to reduce my debt because I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep my job. I got to plan for, you know, unexpected expenses that might come up. You have to, those are two separate skills that you have to nurture and think about separately. And if you don't have one or the other, if people are just optimistic about the future, and they're so optimistic that they're willing to push it in the short run in terms of no savings, lots of debt, because they're so optimistic, those are the people that end up running themselves off a cliff. And on the other hand, if you are pessimistic about the long run, if you're just going to save your money in cash and CDs, then you're never going to get rich to begin with. So you have to foster both of those, and they are conflicting skills, which is why a lot of people don't necessarily have them. There's a lot of turnover on the Forbes list of billionaires, not because they're old people who die, it's because they're people who became very rich but had no skill at staying rich. And a lot of it is the skills that will get you to become rich actually counter the ability to stay rich. A lot of people who got rich because they are so willing to swing for the fences. They're so willing to take a huge risk, to bet everything on this one big crazy idea. That's the skill you need to get rich. Staying rich is the exact opposite. Staying rich requires paranoia, diversification, pessimism. That's what you need to stay rich. So I'm interested because I'm interested in compounding. I want to make sure that I can maintain the level of financial wealth that I have right now for the longest period of time. I'm not interested in doing something for the next year, even 10 years. I want to remain invested, remain compounded for the next 50 years. And the only way that I can do that is if I'm paranoid about the short term, in a sense that it's going to make me have a high savings rate, lots of cash, no debt, in a way that is almost completely counter to my long-term optimism.
Here's what matters. They didn't wait for money. They made themselves valuable, and money followed. If you want to get rich with $0, do this. Learn a skill people pay for. Deliver it relentlessly. Find attention. Attach your skill to it. Leverage, execution, discipline. That's the formula. Stop waiting. Start building. $0 in your pocket isn't the problem. It's the reason to get started.